All right, team, let's talk about power. Team, you're here with Coach Chickenlegs. Power programming. This is by far one of the most fun forms of programming and very, very common. Common because lots of people like it, incredibly popular in the male populace and also seen quite often in the female populace. There's a running joke that a lot of people love power training because they get to eat a lot, they don't have to worry about cardio, and being heavier is just a part of the occupation. We don't necessarily support that, but do whatever you want. In this case, power is really, really fun. It's great to program. It's nice and simple. However, if you're thinking about becoming a power specialist, you are going to need to do extra research on top of what I discussed today. We're going to talk about some really general percent models that you can use to give your programs and clients a program right now and give some meat and some structure to how you would do it. But if you're a power specialist, I'd probably suggest training under a power coach, perhaps training yourself in power, reading some textbooks on the topic, and really deep diving in this niche, okay? We use it in functional training, the stuff I like to train intermittently because it's easy to track, it's easy to program for within reason, and it's good to create excitement because people love to do it. They like to see improvement, and lifting heavy stuff is fun. Who would have thought? There's almost like there's a whole business built around it. So it's good. Those are the things to consider. And if your client is a heavier set person, they're going to be naturally a little bit stronger, and that you can bring enjoyment to workouts without making them feel heavy or overweight, or as they're losing the weight, it gives them little rewards and things to look forward to. So you can even use it as rewards at the end of the week for doing cardio-based stuff if weight loss is a goal of theirs. But if it's just to improve in power, we're gonna look at the percent models that you would use to help track people in a very general setting, okay? This is tailored more for general populace, less so for actual power athletes, although it does work for both, okay? Now, warm-ups in the power space are so crucial because of the amount of effort that's getting put into the actual lift itself. We're not going to touch on warm-ups here because we might run out of time, and I really want to give you the good stuff, the power metrics themselves. But do keep in mind that if ever there was a time where warm-ups are relevant and important, it's during power. Power cares a lot, and you really need to be good at your warm-ups. Not only do you need to know your 2-step, your 4-step, and your 6-step, which are the ones that we teach here, I would probably almost exclusively stick to the 6-step, and I might even increase the amount of steps that you do during. Now, if you don't know what those warm-ups are, that's okay. Go back and have a look at my warm-up videos. If not, let's carry on. So for my power, let's get to the fun stuff. Let's look at the actual percent models I use when I do power. I never do more than about 6 to 8 weeks per block for power because the stats kind of indicate that between 6 and 9 weeks, clients will drop off in interest. It's about time where people quit normally anyway when it comes to anything, regardless of training or diet or nutrition or whatever. And that's probably why you see a lot of 6 to 8 week challenges and promises around the topic of health, okay? That's a little bit of a marketing plan because they know you're going to quit. And there's some reasons for that, which we're not going to discuss today. But for a sake of ease, when we're doing this loading of power, 6 to 8 weeks is kind of the happy zone. Week 1 is when we're discovering 1RMs. So we're finding what 1RMs we care to test. So we are assuming that during the onboarding process, the client is able to produce and do these testings. They don't have niggles, restrictions, flexibility issues, or injuries that are stopping them from doing this. They're all good to go. Or you've just chosen 1RMs that work within their bubble of capacity, okay? Week 2, now that I have the 1RMs are discovered, so let's say for ease sake, we did squat, we did bench, and we did deadlift for our tests. We might have done one every other day to get the metric. So we had plenty of time to rest, plenty of time to warm up. And now we know what our client's 1RM is. Fantastic, well done. Week 2, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a percent model for reps and sets. So for week 2, I'm gonna do something like this. I'm gonna do 60% of their 1RM for 10 reps. I'm then gonna do something like 65% of their 1RM for 7 reps. I would consider these warm-up rep sets. Okay, so they're getting used to the movement. This is the time where I start cueing them. We're looking at forms, we're seeing how they feel, we're playing it out, we're adjusting heights for safety rails, we're checking all those things. That's what these sets are for, getting clients used to the movements. Then we start getting into the meat and potatoes. Now we're gonna do something, we're gonna do this. 75% of their 1RM for 5 reps. Then we're gonna do 75% of their 1RM for 5 reps. Actually, we'll make it 80%. 80%. And then we're gonna do 85% of their 1RM for 5 reps. That is session 1. That is what they're doing around their squat, their bench, or their deadlift, whatever. Okay, you can add more warm-up sets to them, but the core principle is these 3 movements, these 3 last sets are 75%, 80%, and 85%. 5 reps of their 1RM. Power, that's what we're thinking. That's week 2. Hey team, if you're liking this content, what I need you to do is follow us, support us, leave comments. We're here to help programmers be better at programming, make coaches and PTs the best of the best that we can, and it starts with programming and it starts with you. Share, like, subscribe. Now I will do that for their squat day, I'll do that for the bench day, and I'll do it for their deadlift day. If they have those crossing over, I'll just have each movement do that. So I might start with squat, then I'll do bench, and then I'll do deadlift if you have to do it all on one day, although it's probably not the most efficient, but it might be your only option. So we could do squat, bench, dead, all under these metrics. We could do one whole day dedicated to squat, squat form and squat warm up, and then one whole day for bench, etc., etc., etc. So that's week 2. We're gonna call that 5 rep week. So that way we remember it when we come back to write up the summary. Our 3rd week, we're gonna do again some warm up. We're gonna do our 70%, go 65%. 65% for 10 reps. We're gonna do 70% for 7 reps. Now we're gonna do our 80%, 85%, and 90% of our 1RM, and we're gonna do it for 3 reps, each a pop. Okay? That is gonna be our 3rd week worth of metrics. These 2 are treated like warm-up. Okay? And we're gonna start adding the caveat, and you could do this for week 2 as well, that 3 reps or more. If they have 4 and 5 in them, get them to do it. 3 reps is just the bait. They can get no less than is the rule. Okay, so we can do 10 if we want, but that would be an indicator that their 1RM was probably walked in on the day, or they weren't ready enough, and they're better ready and better prepared now. Okay, but no less than 3 reps. But 10 reps, 7, 3, 3, and 3. Okay. Now, next on the agenda, so for week 3, we're gonna write 3 rep week. Week 4, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do 65% for our warm-up, 70% for our warm-up, and it's gonna be 10 and 7, because we love it. There's no harm in that, okay? We need to be warm, we need time for our client to figure it out. We always wanna give them as much opportunity to perform as well as we can. Okay, so that's warm-up within the actual workout. So we've already done a warm-up, this is just extra, extra, extra. We are now gonna do 85%, 90%, and 95% of their 1RM, and we're gonna do that for 5 reps, 3 reps, and no less than 1 rep, okay? We can do more if we want. We can always do more. We can get them to do 2 or 3, that's fine. But we are looking to do 5, 3, then 1. That is the metric we're looking for power. Okay, that is what our week 4 looks like, and that can be done on the bench day, the squat day, the deadlift day, or if you've chosen other movements like overhead press, dip, pull up, whatever. Doesn't matter. Whatever your movements of the day are that you have chosen. For ease sake, we are going to call it our 5-3-1 day, or week, I should say. Week 5 is going to be 40%, 50%, 60%, 70%, and 75%. And we're gonna, in fact, let's ditch the 75%. We don't even want it. We don't even want it, team. I would rather do this 65, 75, or 70. And we're gonna do 10 reps a pop. Why are we doing such a high rep range, low weight percentage? Because we want a week off. We're giving our client a rest week. Okay? You can even not do the movement at all if you'd like, but some clients will have come to expect to do the movement, and giving that higher rep range at a lower weight is not a bad idea at all. They get a different taste of a different way to do it, and the muscles are stimulated in a different way. They're probably going to be sorer from this than some of the other training you've done. But it's a rest week. We want to give them as much time to recuperate before week 6 when we retest everything. Okay? So rest week is the key here. We're just going to rest them. No problem, no issue. Rest, 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 rest. And we're gonna do that for the whole week and for all the movements. Okay. So, let's put rest week here. Now, week 6 is retest, meaning we are gonna do the same thing we did at the first. On week 1, we tested the 1RM, and that each 1RM test could take the whole day. So I might do something like a 50% test, 60% test, 70, 80, 90, 95, 100. You could get rid of some of the higher end stuff because you don't want to fatigue them as much. You could go 70, 75, 90, 100. And then you could go like 10 reps, 5, 3, 1, 1, and then continue on as the more and more they break their record. When you're doing your retests, try to keep the reps low as you can while still getting the warm-up results that you're after, because you want them to save their gas for their 1RM retest, okay? And they can have as much rest as they want in between sets. They can have many goes at their 1RM as they would like. It's not relevant, but we needed to give them a week of rest and then every opportunity to make sure that they retest well. Your warm-up will be very much built around getting them this outcome as good as you can. You'll probably find that clients will get huge growth in the beginning where they are learning the movement and the muscle to mind connection is just developing, and less development later on where you're fighting over single percentiles. Where at the start I've seen clients do 20% increase on their 1RM or even 30%, which was a crazy one. But that's more likely the fact they didn't understand the movement as well and they weren't confident with the movement as they did strength gain. But on my higher end, the guys who do this all the time, who are fantastically good power lifters, they might get 3 to 5% or 1 to 3%, which doesn't sound like a big deal until you realize they're competing and they're lifting hundreds of kilos. Okay, so then all we do is we rinse it and we repeat it. Rinse, except without the W, and repeat. Okay. Now you could do that for a whole year if you wanted to. You could do 3 blocks. You could do 1 block, 2 block, 3 block on the same movements without even doing the retest and just get them to do the cycle again. So you could do, instead of having a retest week, you could get them to do week 2, 3, 4, and 5 again before you do the retest if you want to really guarantee some improvements. If the client is able to rest and wait in excitement for that long, we like to do it every 6 weeks because we like to prove to the client that they're improving. They just won't see as massive of a jumps if you do it every 6 weeks. It'll look more like this instead of like this. Okay, so I like to show the client regularly that my thing is working. From a promo point of view, it's nice to have or close to guaranteed results within the 6 week space, that you will evidently show them that you can make them stronger and your programs work. Fantastic for your marketing. Let's quickly write it all out so you can see it on the paper. You can choose whatever exercise you want to test, it doesn't matter, but just keep in mind this is how we do it. Week 1 is test week. And I might do something like a 10 reps, 7, 5, 3, 1, 1 test. So low reps, giving them plenty of time to figure out what their 1 RM is. That might be week 1 for them. Week 2 is we're gonna do 65%, 70%, we'll go less than that because the client's new. Let's do 50% of 1 RM, 65% of 1 RM, then we're gonna do 75, 80, 85. Your warm-up percentage is less relevant. We just wanna keep them warm. We wanna get them understanding movements. I'll even do it like this. So 10 reps, 7 reps, 5, 5, and then no less than 5. If they can do more. So 5, just no less than 5. Okay. Week 3, I might do something like 60%, 70%. Again, these lower end ones matter a little bit less. 80%, 85%, 90%. And I'm gonna do 3, 3, 3, 10, 7, and this can be no less than. So we don't want them to get less than 3 if we can. They can do more. Week 4, we're gonna do, let's keep it simple, 60, 70, 85, 90, 95%. And this is gonna be 10 again, that's gonna be 7 again, that's 5, that's 3, that's 1. And then for our week 5, it's all about rest, baby. Rest is the king. We wanna do perhaps 40%, 50, 60, 65, and 70% of our 1 RM that we have tested, and we're gonna do 10 reps a pop. Then we rinse and repeat. That's it, team. That's one of the most efficient powerlifting or power-related 1 RM tests that I have seen. I've seen some literature support it. Keep in mind that there's so much literature built around power, and there's so many ways to do it, and each coach is different. I just like something that's a system on paper that I can give to a brand new person, and they can just do it. They don't need to deep dive into the education. They can just, if you just follow this, you will get results, and then you can start charging clients and have programs built around your power, because this just works. It just works well too. Fantastic. I've seen some really high level athletes still using this technique because it's hard to mess with something that's working. Some clients will adjust to it really well. Some clients won't adjust to it at all. Some clients don't want to do this method, but you don't know how they're going to respond. Their body's strength will respond to it until they do it. But geez, this works well. And then usually if it was me and I'm doing a general client, so they're not necessarily specific, but there might be a heavier or bigger guy who wants to show off how strong they are, I might do a bench day, I might do a squat day, and I might do a deadlift or hinge day with a warm-up built around the main movement, and then the main movement based off these metrics, and then some sort of circuit or session that's going to help them offset their the load, the weight, and the amount of compression that they're getting from this style of workout. Or I might give them a circuit that's going to encourage weight loss if that's something they care about. If not, we might be working on trying to grow them in the hypertrophy space, so we can do stuff like growth circuits and exercises. Or they want even more bloody power, and we just do this thing again, but with a different movement. So I could do bench press and all this, and then I could do dips and all this. Or I could do bench press and dips and shoulder press or whatever. You know, I could give 3 power movements if that's something they care about, if it's a big push day. So I could do overhead press and bench and dip if I wanted to. For the squat, I could do squat, I could do leg press, and I could do sled, or I could do lunge or whatever. And deadlift, I could do deadlifts, straight bar, I could do keg pick up, I can do Atlas stone shoulder throws, I can do anything I really want in the hinge deadlift space. I can do farmers carries, whatever. I have also seen for some clients who train 3 days a week, who's in their competition, they only have bench, squat, and deadlift. So they start their day with squat under this metric. They do then bench under this metric, which is giving their legs time to adjust for the deadlift. And then they end their day with deadlift under this metric. They're a little bit rushed. Their warm-up is less in depth because they're doing all three, and they do all 3 days a week. Absolutely appropriate, super appropriate. You could do that if you want. If you're only focused on bench, squat, and dead, in this case, the competition that was arising, the 3 main lifts was squat, bench, and dead. Okay, so everything comes with a caveat. Again, I'm going to emphasize that this is very general. It is not for specific stuff. If you're a powerlifting coach and you have ulterior views on the topic, that's awesome. Voice them, we'd love to hear them, but this will work for the 99% of clients who walk through your door in the big box gym and some specialist gyms, and is absolutely appropriate for brand new clients to use. Please make sure your warm-ups are up to snuff, and I will eventually release huge amounts of documents with these metrics being used for power clients, so you as a PT can just use those when in doubt. They may be out already. If not, suck it up and write your own. All right, team, see ya.